Hey guys, Levi here with Trident Fly Fishing, and today we're going to be tying a Prince Nymph. It's a pretty popular nymph, good attractor pattern. It was created by Doug Prince, and it's a fly you can use for trout at pretty much any time of the year. Solid for any species and any water that's moving. This is a safe bet, especially those with stoneflies in it. So we're starting off with a Arex FW561 hook and a size 12. It's a barbless hook, black nickel. It's pretty strong. And as you can see, we have a 1/8 inch gold bead on the head. And that gives a good look, adds a little bit of weight to it. Kind of ties this fly together. I think it is a sort of a tenet to the Prince Nymph's overall look. So just starting with thread on the shank, and we are using an 8/0 uni thread in the color of tan. Use brown is fine, black, but 8/0's a good size for this. It's not too thick in diameter. So first things first, we're gonna get started with some goose biots. This is the color Prince Nymph brown, and that's gonna be our tail. This fly has a split tail, again, which makes a good representation for a stonefly. So start by putting your tail in, and you want this tail a little smaller than the shank of the hook, maybe 80% of it. I like to start with the tail furthest away from me. So I get that tied in, and then once that's secure, I just do the exact same thing on the side closest to me. For some reason, it ends up just being a little easier if I start away from me, then you're not really fighting the material on the side closest to you. So go ahead and get those tied in right on both sides of the shank. It's gonna create a nice split tail for you. And instead of clipping these biot ends, I just go ahead and wrap my thread over it. And what that's gonna do is add a little bit of bulk to the whole fly. And a Prince Nymph, it's kind of a bulky nymph. So to have that underneath is no big deal at all. And in fact, just adds to a more realistic profile. So once you get your tail tied in, we're gonna use some ribbing. And this is Unifrench gold tinsel, size small. Again, the color is gold. That's a nice accent color for this fly. So go ahead and tie your tinsel in. I just start it right behind the eye, again, to add bulk to that body. Go ahead and secure it, and when I secure this, I want it to be on the side of the hook that's closest to me, so it's easier to start your first wrap there. So secure that, and now we're gonna move into the body. The body of this fly is peacock herl, and we're using a size 12 hook, so we'll probably tie about 3 fibers on to create this body. If you were using maybe a size 8, size 10, you can get a few more in there. But the thing with peacock is, while it's a very important and solid material, it's not all that durable whenever it's wound. So if you add a couple of fibers in there, that enhances the durability and also creates a larger profile more easily. So the first thing I do with peacock is get rid of the tips. Reason for that is the tips are where the feather's its weakest. And if you get rid of that, most of the time, you won't have to worry about it snapping whenever you're palmering this forward to create your body. So go ahead and get that tied in. Again, I wrap it down the whole shank just to create that bulk. So once you have that secured, go ahead and begin wrapping it forward. And you're gonna do these wraps side by side, close together, so that you have a nice profile. And there's no gaps, and you want it to be nice and smooth and sort of have some chunk to it. Wrap your peacock herl about 80% of the way up the shank, and you're gonna need to leave a little bit up there for the wing and the legs. So once you get there, tie it off. A few wraps is good, secure it, and then snip these. And now you can use this tinsel to rib. Just wrap this evenly spaced upward. And again, that gives a nice little bit of flash, and it also increases durability on this peacock herl. And it also decreases durability on your thread. As you can see, this poor man's joke there. So, okay, once that's wrapped, go ahead and clip your thread. What we're gonna do now is, clip the tinsel, I'm sorry. Now we're gonna tie in legs. And for legs, we're using partridge feathers. If you can get this on a skin, it's a little easier to work with because you won't have to go through the bag to find the feather you like. But anyway, get a feather with barbules. They're about the size, they'll get down to about the size of the hook gap, so you can measure it up that way. And first things first, remove the fuzz. That's not gonna do any good here. Get rid of that, and you're left with a feather like this. Next step here is sweep these fibers downward, and go ahead and clip the tip off of that. And you're left with sort of this V notch. And this is a really easy way to tie in tails, or legs, I'm sorry. And you can do this for other nymphs other than the Prince Nymph, but it works great here. So put that over the top, hold it with your left hand, and go ahead and wrap it down. And as you can see, you're left with a set of legs, pretty even on both sides, and that's a really easy way to get those tied in. So go ahead and wrap those ends down, and now we're gonna tie in the wings of this fly. We're using white goose biots for this as well, and this is probably what most people think of whenever they think of the Prince Nymph. It's a good attracting feature of this fly, and kind of just ties the whole look together. So I tie these down in an X formation, and I like them to be about 80% of the length of the tail. So tie the first one in, and that's gonna be one side of your X. And then you take the second one and finish the X, size them up correctly, and tie it down. And I've found this X formation, it's a durable and easy way to do this. You have you have each biot wrapped on top of one another, and you also don't have to, you have them both supporting one another. So it makes it a little bit just easier to work with. You could be done with this fly right now, but one thing I like is as neat a head as possible. So what I do after I get the wings tied in is just grab another piece of peacock herl, get that tied in right in front of the wings, and I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap this right behind the bead. And that's just gonna tie this fly together and make the whole thing just look a little better. So wrap that, and then tie it off directly behind the bead. Just a few wraps. Okay. Snip that. And now the fly is done. So you can go ahead and throw a half hitch in there, a whip finish. All of these materials can be found on tridentflyfishing.com. And if you guys like what you saw today, go ahead and hit that like button, and so you don't miss any of this. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.